weirdest phenomena caught during eclipses. Number 1. Many eclipsed suns in the shadows of trees. Millions of people who were outdoors during the eclipse of 2017 noticed that the shadows cast by the trees looked very different than any other day. The small gaps in between the leaves acted like pinhole lenses during the eclipse. This resulted in several projected crescent-shaped images of the sun onto the ground below. It's a natural phenomenon, and it is absolutely beautiful. Number 2. Shadow bands. Shadow bands are thin, wavy lines that flash on surfaces that are plain in color. The shadow bands are caused by the undulating atmosphere and the sun turning into a thin crescent when the light shines down to the ground. Shadow bands can only be seen right before a total eclipse of the sun and right after. If you don't pay attention, you could easily miss it. Number 3. Strange behavior in dogs. According to a study performed in 1932 by the Boston Society of Natural History, dogs tend to exhibit very strange behavior during an eclipse, and they're not the only ones. Birds also tend to act strangely. The chickens that were watched flew back to their coops, all of them at once. The dog in this video acted very strangely during the eclipse of 2017. According to the owner, the dog was very calm, easygoing. During the eclipse, the dog became very hyperactive and chased his tail for over 2 minutes. The owner stated that the dog had never chased her tail in her life until the start of the eclipse. Number 4. Eskimos do strange things. The Eskimos believe that an eclipse is a symbol of a period of sickness with dual entities of the moon and the sun. They believe that during the eclipse you can be poisoned with the sickness of their rays. When the Eskimos are cooking or preparing food, they turn their cutlery upside down. They believe that if the beams are shining on the handles that the sickness will shine away from them. This is something that happens each time there is an eclipse. Number 5. Bailey's beads. This is one of the weirdest phenomena caught during eclipses. It occurred in North America during the eclipse of 2017. Some people were lucky enough to see it, while others were lucky enough to catch it on camera. When the eclipses had begun and the moon begins to graze the outside edge of the sun, the moon's bumpy surface will produce small beads of light when the sun shines through the holes. It only lasts for a few minutes. However, if you're able to see it for those few minutes, it could be one of the most amazing sights of your life. Number 6. Bats fly around during the day. Most people know that bats are nocturnal. Therefore, they sleep all day and they wait until nighttime to fly. During the eclipse of 2017 and all other eclipses before it, bats became confused. Suddenly it was dark in the middle of the day and they didn't know what was happening. They thought the darkness meant that it was time to wake up. When the sun came back out, the bats suddenly retreated. Number 7. The solar system literally lights up. If you were lucky enough to be in the path of totality during the eclipse of 2017, you would have been lucky enough to see the solar system light up. Part of it anyway. For 30 minutes before the eclipse started, you would have been able to see Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, and Mars with the naked eye, with Venus being the brightest. Soon the sun and the moon take over the limelight. If there is another total eclipse expected and you're in the path of totality, head outside 30 minutes early so you can see 4 planets that you likely would not have seen otherwise. Number 8. The temperature plummets. On an average day, the temperature begins to drop only when the sun goes down at night. During an eclipse, the temperature drops as well. However, it doesn't stay cool for long. When the moon covers the sun, it is stifling the source of the heat for the whole planet. During the 2017 total eclipse, the temperature dropped in some areas by as much as 11 degrees. Number 9. Strange double moon. During the eclipse of 2017, pictures were taken of a strange double moon in the desert. It actually wasn't the moon. It was the shadow of another planet in the solar system that is only visible during an eclipse. Number 10. Reported injuries. During the eclipse of 2017, plenty of injuries were reported. While doctors stated that they saw less eye injuries than they had expected, they did treat other injuries. People were so focused on the eclipse that they didn't pay attention to where they were standing. There were plenty of broken bones reported during the eclipse. There were even car accidents reported by people who were too busy looking at the sky rather than watching the road. Immediately after the eclipse, emergency rooms around the country began filling up. Hours later, doctors expected many more patients to come through the emergency room doors. It's surprising that anyone was injured, considering that the media started warning the American public weeks before about the dangers of the eclipse and what could happen if people weren't